Hey, welcome to another segment of Light on a Hill, LOAH, and LOAH Live. I am Theresa Lyons-Smith, the founder and director of LOAH, and tonight, man, I cannot tell you how stoked I am and really just humbled, like to be sitting here in the presence of my special guest for this segment. We are not strangers to what's going on in the world, the media, concerning an issue, right? And so I'm humbled and really just blessed to be sitting here in the presence of greatness, in the presence of what I wholeheartedly believe defies some untrue things that we have been, hearing about some things going on. And so I would call those things noise. And we know that this series is called There Is a Sound. Are you the sound or just noise? And I'm honored to be sitting here today with what I believe with every fiber of my being is what is the sound. And not just any sound, but an effective sound. And so I am going to put my thought out there and then introduce you, man, to, like I said, I'm sitting in the midst of greatness and we are going to just jump right in. And I felt like, society and the media and the news is saying a whole lot, like putting a whole lot of noise out there. And I felt like who better to hear the truth from than greatness itself. And so we've been talking about sound and how sound is very intentional. Sound is very aware of the space that it needs to fill. Sound is conscious, is consistent, it's considerate, right? And we've been talking about noise, which is everything but what sound is. Noise is invasive, it's destructive, it's distractive, it's inconsiderate, and it really doesn't care about the space that it needs to fill because it's pretty consuming and can even be overwhelming. And so we would symbolically call like all of these things that we have been contending with, not just where we live in Pennsylvania, but and throughout the world. And so again, I just want to introduce you to four of the dopest people in existence. Yep, I said it. And by the time we finish, I promise you, you will agree. And so tonight, our guest is, I'm going to start to my right. We have Hassan Purdy. We have David Robinson. We have Devon Eberhart and Rashad Brown. And in case you haven't noticed, there's something that these gentlemen have in common, and that is that they are black men. And so, like I said, it's just been a whole lot of noise that we have involuntarily been bombarded with. And I felt like who better to hear from as far as who they are than them themselves. And so the first thing we're going to dive into tonight is a simple question, and that is, who are you? Who are you? Who are you, Hassan?
My name is Hassan Purdy. I'm a 37-year-old black male, father of 2 children and a husband.
Who are you, David?
My name is David Robinson. I'm a 39-year-old husband. I'm a father of 2 daughters, and I'm the owner of Kingdom Integrity Cleaning. And so
Who are you, Devin?
A 31-year-old father, black man,
Who are you, Rashad?
I'm Rashad Brown, 31 years old, business owner, personal fitness trainer from Southwest Philadelphia.
I'm gonna say it probably 1,000 times. I am sitting in the midst of some phenomenal men. They are all fathers. They are all husbands, or, in these loving relationships, they all have children. And quite honestly, they all defy the things that, if we listen to the wrong person, has to say about them. So one of the things that I would like to ask a question, and any of you can feel free to jump in, and we just want to remember to speak loud enough so that we want every solitary word that you all have to say to be captured. I would start with the question of, how do you feel as Black men about the fact that if you ask the wrong person, or depending on who you ask, what the noise is, they would say the noise is you?
Angry, scared.
It makes me feel angry, scared, the reference off of him, but I realize, like, as long as I can conduct myself and stay true to myself, I'll be all right, because I know right from wrong, and even though the negative energy keep coming my way, if I stay positive and focused, I can block the distractions and make my way through.
How do you do that? How do you do that on a day-to-day basis? Devon said when he was introducing himself that he is everything that he's forced to be. How do you stay positive?
It's hard to stay positive, but every day negative energy come your way, but that's why you got to put God first. And I just was fortunate enough to find an outlet at a young age. I found boxing, which kept me out the way and kept me out the streets. So I could have easily been a statistic like everyone else, but I just was fortunate enough to find my niche, and that's what kept me out the way. So every time something came my way, I just stayed prayed up, and I kept myself busy to keep myself distanced from the negativity, and that's how I come to maneuver my way through.
So I want to ask a question, because believe it or not, that's what every parent would want for their child. But unfortunately, that's not what every parent gets, right? So what do you say to, how do you feel about the fact that, depending on who you ask, people who don't even know you, don't know anything about you, label you as the noise?
Well, the reason why, my answer was angry and scared is because I believe that part of us is the noise.
Yeah.
I'm not one of them dudes who just look at cops and, blame the other race, and, it's about accountability, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
You brought up me being angry about what happened to the young man. What I was the most angry about was the people standing around. It shouldn't even, like, as black men, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They should have made sure that it didn't even get to that. But we got videos of every angle. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, and that right there is a problem. Then on the other hand, me being I work late nights. So, like, my commercial buildings I do is at night. And I remember, like, a couple months ago, I was doing a daycare. And I'm out in, like, Providence. Like, I have, my buildings are, like, out in, outside the hood. So 2 cops walking, me and my worker, we working. They had us on the curb for about 3 hours. Like, running our name, asking us why we out here. We constantly telling them, like, we work, you know what I mean? I'm working and showing them, and they really wasn't trying to hear it. And once they realized, I guess we didn't have no warrants or anything, they just let us go. And all that kept going through my mind was like, am I gonna see my wife? Am I going to see my daughters?
I can imagine.
Lord, did you bring me this far? Because I believe in the Lord too. You know what I mean? Like, he been with me through too much. And he brought me too far. But, for me to act like I don't feel this thing, like I feel it. You know what I mean? And it is what it is.
Yeah. How does it make you feel, Devin, that depending on who you ask?
I think for me, it's several feelings. Feelings of definitely anger, fear. But then again, to piggyback on what David said, for me, it's a lot of disappointment. Disappointment in, us black men as a collective. Because, like David said, there's a such thing as accountability and responsibility. And I had a conversation with somebody not too long ago who was his mindset was kind of more so stuck in these things were systemically put in place to keep us oppressed and suppressed. And my argument to him simply was, knowing that, at what point do you realize that you are now choosing to be oppressed and suppressed? And the reason so many mixed feelings come with it is because it is very difficult being a black man. It's difficult being this standard, as well as trying to meet the standards of society every day. Because, being black men and being man, period. On several levels, we are the standard. In fact, in that same conversation, when I talked to the young man, there was a young lady involved in the conversation. And for the first time ever, I heard a young lady say, how can y'all, as black men, keep saying X, Y, and Z is what's wrong, but y'all are the kings and y'all don't exemplify what being a king is, And for me, it hit home because a lot of times we do choose to, on one hand, it's a blessing that we, as black people, for years have shown this ability to adapt and overcome and everything like that. But then it becomes like, what are we adapting to? What are we allowing to become our norms? You know what I'm saying? When are we going to change the narrative as opposed to saying, as long as it's a liquor store on the corner, I'm gonna buy a drink, or as long as it's a deal on the corner, I'm gonna cop up. You know what I'm saying? At what point do we take initiative? At what point do we say, start loving each other, and instead of automatically assuming, my brother out to get me, so I automatically got to be on defenses against my brother without even giving him a chance. So it's like, it's so many mixed feelings that come with it, because on one hand, I don't believe any of us as black people are angry, are monsters, or any of that. I believe we are traumatized, and I believe we are people looking for help, looking for love, and just through a period of time and certain things happening over and over and over again, it's become harder and harder to see if those changes will ever come. So because it gets harder and harder, we choose to just kind of adapt, as opposed to being able to say, you know what, I'm going to go against the grain.
Hassan, how does it make you feel?
To be honest, my opinion on like being a noise, it doesn't make me really feel any kind of way. To be completely honest, because at one point in my time in my life, I was part of the noise. You understand what I'm saying? So once you become part of the noise, what made me want to change my mindset, I also did 5 years in prison, being incarcerated for 5 years straight. And my mindset really didn't totally change until one day I sat down with my son. And my son said he didn't like the police. And that's the environment we grew up in. So I wanted to know, like, why don't you like the police? He said he don't like the police because they want to arrest him. And I wanted to know why he thought they were going to arrest him. And he said, because I'm going to do what you did. So that's what made me change my life and become the same. To show my son that you can still have nice things. And even show like some of the younger kids in our neighborhoods, from where we're from, the noise is who we look up to. You don't have nothing but the noise to look up to. They're the ones with the nice car, the nice jewelry, and the nice clothes. So So that's what we gravitate to from the areas that we are from. So that's what made me become part of the noise. For me to go sit down for 5 years, I had to get my mental right until my son actually tell me that he was gonna be part of the noise. So I had to come home and show him that you can be sound and still have these beautiful things that everybody glorify.
Wow.
So it just takes us to come home, or just us here, just in general, to take your noise, turn it to sound, and show all your surroundings. Because sometimes it might not be nothing wrong with being noise. Sometimes you might need noise, but you need that sound to, balance you out.
So then, how is it that it seems like it's from one extreme to the other, right? So everybody is familiar with because what I hear y'all saying is, don't talk about it, be about it, right? Because if you just keep hearing something, you believe it for a while, but then when you don't see it, what you believe is not what you hear. You start believing what you see. Is that fair to say?
Mm-hmm.
And so, just as a woman and a black woman, I have a black son, and actually my son happens to be sitting at the table as part of this dialogue. But I have black men who are, brothers and so forth and so on. And just as a black person in general, we're all familiar with a phrase, that people have been declaring, Black Lives Matter, right? And although it was not created for what people are using it for, it is something that they've adapted. And so we hear this Black Lives Matter, but I personally have asked the question over and over again, why is it that we expect people, meaning everybody else other than black people, why do we expect them to agree that Black Lives Matter when, if we go by what we see, we don't believe it, right? How does that relate to what you all see?
So, like, my opinion about what you just said,
Yes,
is it's like what we see and what's the truth. See, what's presented to us. It's like what you said. The noise was presented to us, right? When you look on the news, you see us killing each other, right? But the reality of it, if you look at statistics,
yeah,
all races do the same thing, but they show us.
they show us.
And it's a manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is, instead of me doing this, what we do is the crab in the barrel. I want to reach the top, forget everybody else, instead of everybody lifting each other up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to me, that right there is the issue. Like him, he has a cleaning service.
Mm-hmm.
Me and him have decided to partner up in certain ways.
Right.
And I'm learning so much from him. Right. And, he feels the same way about me. Right. And it ain't nothing I won't do for him. You know what I'm saying? Because we got to teach, we have to teach our next generation that it's not just about what we're seeing on TV, about what they saying about us, what they saying about us in hood movies. That's not all of us. A lot of us have the mindset to do right. We got to teach our kids that you don't just have to go to school, get a job, you can own something. The difference between us and other cultures is other cultures stick together, and that's what they teach each other. You can see it from hobby stores to Chinese stores. You know what I'm saying? Like, where do we see us doing that at?
So at what point? So I'm going to ask a question. You look like you wanted to say something.
Just piggybacking off that, I think that the point is the point of first loving yourself. I definitely think self-love is a lot of what we lack. I would think, me personally, I always say that one of our biggest two downfalls as black people, or the things that we lack, is one, self-love, and two, knowledge. You know, it's like the Bible says you're only accountable for what you know, right? But once you know, then you become accountable, right? But, so, like when we young, everybody refer to somebody that's older than them as their old heads, right? But you look at them as your old head because of the wisdom that they may possess, or the things that they instill, whether right or wrong, that you find value in, right? But where are they when you look at it now? You know what I'm saying? I'm 31, and I remember being 16, 17, and 31 was my old head, like my old head, who I looked up to, who I saw in a total different point in life. You know what I mean? But we don't really, like you said, we're too busy tearing each other down, but I feel like even further than that is because we don't love ourselves. Like me personally, I'm not yet an official business owner, but I'm building my brand. The name of my brand is Ugly One. The acronym what Ugly One stands for is you gotta love you first. And the reason that behind that is because I feel like even as a black man, when you begin to love yourself as a black man and appreciate the color of your own skin, you know, where the head goes, the body follows. But before the head, the mindset has to go to a certain place before your thought pattern can follow behind the mindset. You know what I'm saying? So when you start loving yourself, it becomes second nature to love anyone like you. But we're not taught to even be able to, especially as men, to be able to be in touch with those feelings to even figure out why we don't love ourselves.
And forgive
you know?
ourselves, bro.
And like you said, and the reason I say knowledge is, you know, like it's been established, this is my mom. So Rashad is one of my best friends since fifth or sixth grade, grew up together. A lot of our life we walked together, you know? And then there was a time when we veered off. Now here we are. If y'all ever knew him, y'all would see him, we are all black men. But Rashad is an officer. You understand what I'm saying? And so I have the privilege of having a friend who's an officer and everybody around me not in my ear like, oh, forget the police ain't this, the police ain't that. I have the advantage of knowing that all cops not bad, that all cops are human beings, and that some of them just possess bad characteristics. And then a lot of them are fearful. The same way, because see, as men, we reciprocate a lot of those feelings that become too sensitive of subjects for us. We shelf them and reciprocate as anger. Instead of saying, yo, dude, I'm brokenhearted. This girl broke my heart in 8th grade. We're not taught that that's cool. So we'll spend the next, from 8th grade on, dogging women because of that girl that hurt you in 8th grade, because it's not cool to say, dog, this girl really broke my heart. Like, and I didn't know how to handle it. So I started mishandling every female I came across. It's a lot of honesty that comes along with, and with the changes that need to be made. And I feel like it's not so much about, oh, you do this or you do that, or what group of people or what color person does what. If we all just start seeing each other as human beings,
Right.
all that color stuff and the titles don't matter. Like his favorite thing to say when we have our conversations, and his favorite thing to say is, bro, you always talking about cops. But he said, I'm only a cop for X amount of hours out of the day. When I take my uniform off, the same Caucasian person that may walk past you and move in fear of you as a black man, they respond to him the same way. The same way when I'm driving, I don't have to be doing anything wrong. But when I see red and blue lights, my heart drops. That's not anything I can control.
Right.
Because of, you know, how we conditioned our minds to think about each other and how we are taught to associate these characteristics with these titles or the color of your skin. And that's why it's frustrating when you ask, you know, to be associated with the noise just because you're a black man. Because you know, it's the stigma that we carry without even, you know, I had 3 kids, all of them being boys. You know, all of them are, you know, cute and innocent right now. And my fear is when they become 18 and 21, you know, how the world see them.
That's what I was going through with my son, but he 18, but you in the household with him, and they see what you doing, so they gonna gravitate to what you do. But you gotta show them that everything that they admire out there, you know what your kids like. You gotta show them they can still accomplish that without glorifying the wrong stuff. Once they see you doing that, they ain't worried about nothing else. It's like my son, he like this, that, and the third. I got into it, I listen to the same music. I don't like it, but I listen to it.
Yeah.
So I can let him know right from wrong. And then eventually one day, he might be like, oh, my dad tripping. But as he grow and get older, and the jewels that you drop on him, they gonna know. Just like you, with your mom, I'm pretty sure your mom burnt you out. My mom burnt me out, got on my nerves. But as you grow older, you like, yo, my mom was right all that time. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be the same thing with your kids. They gonna make a few mistakes, but you're gonna be right there, you know what I'm saying, to show them. So the only thing we can do is let them grow.
Then, like I said, it's the conflict of, you know, you want to raise your kids to be, you know, nice, stand up, respectable individuals, to go live in a world with people that ain't like that, or ain't putting that out there, you know.
I
And
think
I'm
you
not
said something
justifying it, but I'm just saying that's the conflict as a black man you deal with. It's knowing the right, but what's in comparison to what's accepted.
So one of the things that I firmly believe is, I've heard each of you in your statements touch on it, and so paraphrasing the thought is identity. Knowing one's identity is crucial to your existence, right? And determines whether you exist successfully or not, right? So I can imagine that it has to be very challenging to even, you know, you grew up with me telling you one thing about who you are, but then every time you're out of my presence, life and society is saying this is who you are. How have you found, Rashad, who you are?
Believe it or not, it was a lot of trial and error, but to give you even a little background on me, I didn't have the glitz and glamour background like that. Been there my whole life, so you know, I actually came up with my mother. My mother died from OD, so I had a tough upbringing, and it was real tough. Like I said, I lost my mom to the streets, but I had to find things to trigger my energy. That's
the same streets that you are supposed to protect and serve.
And lost my queen. But the thing that, like I said earlier, that helped me out, I found at a young age, I just found my niche, and it's easier to say than done because everybody don't know their niche. But once I found a boxing gym, that kept me completely out the way. I was too tired. So what I could say is, like, whatever your niche is, I know Dev, I grew up around Dev, he always liked the music. I tell Dev all the time, even to this day, as grown men, I say, yo, get back to writing the music, get back, because I know that took him somewhere mentally and spiritually, is music. Yeah. So I just think, honestly, you just gotta find your niche. And like I said, you could do the best thing as your parents, like my man said here, he said something good, you gotta show your kid everything. But I believe your kid gotta find a way and find a path on his own, because I didn't have nobody in my ear. And I kind of made it to somewhere where I'm proud of, because I didn't have the upbringing like most people had. But I found my way, and once I found my way and stayed busy, it led me to where I'm at today.
That, you know, there's so much more, so much more to be said. But we're gonna wrap this part of the segment up. We're gonna come back, and man, what I hear is that there is another way. There's another way, and it's gonna take honesty and transparency. It's gonna take being willing to be flat foot and say, I know this is what you say I'm supposed to feel about this, but this is how I feel. It's going to take being willing to do some things that, quite frankly, I'm not going to say has never been done, but that will need to be done. And so we want to thank you for joining us for this part 1 of our segment 4 of this series. There is a sound. Are you the sound or just noise? We're going to come back, for part 2 of this series. Don't miss it. Like I said, we're sitting in the midst of phenomenal greatness, and who better to hear the heart of and the thoughts of the Black man than from the Black man. And so we want to thank Hassan, we want to thank David and Devon and Rashad, and we are going to come back for part 2 of this segment. But in the meantime, thank you for joining us. LOAH, Light on a Hill. You can reach us by email, onelightonahill@gmail.com. If you would like to call or text or get in touch with us, we would like to help in any way that we can, or maybe you want to come and have some dialogue. You can do that by calling or texting 484-463-7178. I just say, don't forget that purpose is not just what we do. It's not just what we have. Purpose is who we are. Join us for part 2 of this segment. There is a sound. Are you the sound or just noise? Thank you.